Well, howdy there, folks. James, Political Friar, coming to you again. Got the LSE hat on, and so we're going to talk about something that is to do with international relations. That is the escalation that we have been seeing in the Middle East between Iran and Israel. And don't make any mistake, everything is between Iran and Israel. In particular, as Hamas and Hezbollah's ability to project force degrades, they are more reliant on Iran. So we can talk about this in a really bilateral sort of way. These groups are cat's paws for Iran, and as they lose power, they're just more so. So, what do we have going on since we last did an update? Well, we last did an update a long, long time ago, and that's really because I took 6 months off. I mean, we had the Israeli and Hamas conflict in Gaza just escalate. So here's the pattern for the Israeli Hamas conflict, and you can just go back 6 months and reapply the pattern. The pattern is Hamas lives underground. Israel has the ability to dominate anything above the surface in Gaza, but Hamas has the ability to reconstitute itself among the civilian population first and foremost, and then underground. And so, what Hamas does is it uses the human shields that are the civilian population to reconstitute itself above ground. Once it is reconstituted, it moves below ground, and then it maneuvers itself into in a position to ambush and kill Israelis where they choose. That's why Israel has had to repeatedly clear the same darn area over and over again. You hear about these orders to evacuate a safe zone. That's because it's not safe anymore. That's because Hamas has made it unsafe. That's because Hamas is using the civilian population to defend itself. This is, listen, Hamas are terrorists of the worst ilk. Those folks that you see out there with their Palestinian flags, they are very reasonable in wishing for Palestinian sovereignty, and they are also supporting Hamas. It's inevitable because it turns out that the representative of Palestinians in this day and age is Hamas, and those folks are nihilistic terrorists of the worst sort. You think Al Qaeda is bad, Hamas is the same. So, what Hamas does is once they reconstitute themselves, they go and bury themselves in amongst the most civilians that they possibly can, hoping that Israel won't target them, and mostly they're right. If Israel actually wanted to destroy Hamas at any cost, the civilian casualties would be tremendously higher than they are. So the fight in Gaza is Israel clears a block above ground. It attempts to clear that same block below ground. It has mixed success. It can't really occupy it, and the Hamas fighters pop back up. So, how do you end up actually succeeding with your military objective of destroying Hamas in Gaza if you're Israel? And maybe the answer is you don't. Maybe the answer is you ought to have some sort of ceasefire. But let's not dwell on the South because we want to do a little bit of an update around the entire conflict between Israel and Iran. And the most important news out of the last week in this conflict was a errant rocket. So the rules on the tit for tat on the northern border between Israel and Hamas were worked out months ago. It's that you fire your rocket at this mostly unimportant thing. It's dangerous, but you're not trying to hurt anybody, and we'll maybe drop the Israelis. The Israelis will maybe drop some bombs on something that again isn't more equipment than people. Like they talk through violence about how they're going to express themselves in this conflict, but neither side wants to escalate, not really. Now, the Israelis are paying a heavy price for this, in that 60,000 Israelis have been displaced from their homes, and they want to go home. And they want to tell the Israeli Defense Forces, "Hey, can't we go home? Shouldn't you protect us from our homes?" And the Israeli Defense Forces are like, "I mean, no, not really, not in a cost-effective way we can't, so stay away. And then Hezbollah fires a rocket that almost certainly unintentionally killed 12 children and injured a dozen more. And that's the type of thing that the Israelis can't actually ignore. The Israelis need to respond to that, and the Israelis could have responded to that in a conventional way by launching a massive barrage of southern Lebanon, but instead they carried out a series of assassinations. You better believe that that assassination of the Hezbollah leader in Beirut was in direct response for the rocket attack that killed those 12 kids. The Israelis also have decided that because things are linked, they've also decided they're going to start assassinating Hamas leaders when they have the opportunity. So they killed one in Gaza in the same time, and they killed one in Tehran. Wow, isn't that a thing? Because Tehran is the capital of Iran, your actual primary enemy. And the interesting thing is, this Hamas leader, the political leader of Hamas, not Shinwa, who's the military leader, but the political leader of Hamas, was there to attend a ceremony, and he stayed in a guest house that he had stayed in before. And apparently, the Israelis were aware of that and planted a bomb there months ago and blew him up. That is an interesting escalation in that the Hamas and Hezbollah forces and Iranian forces probably cannot respond in kind. They probably don't have the capacity to assassinate Israeli or American figures at the same level. Now, they have the ability to escalate conventionally, but the Israelis have kind of punished them in a unique way that doesn't invite a tat for the tit. This is the old tit for tat idea. Like you respond in kind. I don't think the Iranians can, and so it leaves an open question. Do the Iranians just kind of crap out and back down the same way they did after their failed drone rocket attack in response to the Israeli killing of another militant in Syria, or do they try to do something that is more within their capability, which is to increase the pressure conventionally? I don't know what they actually do, but I do know one thing. Benjamin Netanyahu wants them to. Listen, the only way Benny stays in power is if he's a wartime prime minister. The only way he matters is if he's leading Israel against the big bad. And so he individually has nothing to lose by continuing to escalate. And so I suspect that we are going to see further escalation. I don't know where that'll end, but I do know that it's just a thought. Let me know how wrong I am in the comments down below. Leave me a like, hit that subscription button. If you know how the Middle East works, that'd be cool. Put it in a comment. All right. Well, I really appreciate you, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.